So here I have a wonderful book, a book summary, Can't Hurt Me, Master Your Mind and Defy the Odds, by David Goggins, right? Can't Hurt Me is a compelling and here deeply inspirational memoir, okay, by David Goggins, a former Navy SEAL and one of the world's most elite, endurance athletes here. The book is much more than an autobiography, right? It serves a powerful guide to mental resilience, self-discipline and relentless pursuit of personal growth through vivid storytelling here, brutally honestly, and actionable challenges. Goggins reveals how anyone can push beyond pain and fear to unlock untapped potential and redefine the limit of human performance. Early life here, from trauma to transformation. The first part of the book details Goggins here harrowing childhood, right? Born into an abusive household in Buffalo, New York, right? He actually experienced, severe physical and psychological trauma at the hands of his father. Poverty, racism, and learning, disabilities further, compounded his struggles, leaving him with low, self-esteem and a sense of helplessness. These formative years, filled with pain and instability, laid the groundwork for the adversity, he would later overcome. Despite these hardships here, Goggins emphasizes it that no one is a prisoner of their circumstances, right? He introduces the idea that pain and suffering can be leveraged as a fuel for growth. By confronting and owning his past, he begins a journey toward radical self-accountability. Okay, that 40% rule here, pushing beyond limits. A central theme in Can't Hurt Me is what Goggins called 40% rule. According to him, when most people think they are done physically, mentally, or emotionally, they are only at 40% of their actual capacity. This concept becomes a foundation, mindset throughout his life, whether he is enduring grueling military training, running ultra marathons, and breaking world records, right? He insists, that pain is not the enemy, rather it is a necessary companion on the road to greatness. Goggins believes that true growth only occurs here when we willing suffer, face our tears and lean into discomfort. So military experience and mental toughness here. Goggins' journey into the military is a cornerstone of the book, right? So after failing here multiple attempts to join the Air Force and later becoming ops and unmotivated here, he transformed himself within a few months to qualify for Navy SEAL training, right? One of the toughest program in the world. He eventually went through hell week not once but 3 times, pushing his body and mind to their absolute limits. His military experiences taught him that the mind is the most powerful tool we possess. Okay, so he develops what he calls a calloused mind, a mental state here fortified by discipline, repetition, and exposure to hardship. By embracing suffering, he conditioned himself to become mentally here invisible, right? Okay, so here accountability, self-discipline, and the mirror of truth. One of the Goggins here most practical mental strategies is the accountability mirror. As a young man, he would write his failures and weaknesses on a post-it notes and stick them to his mirror, right? Forcing himself to confront the brutal truth each day. Whether it was about his weight, about his academic failures and lack of discipline. He believes that acknowledging his flaws was the first step towards change. This tactic embodies here his belief that radical honesty and oneself is essential for growth. Excuses, denial, and self-pity must be eliminated in order to make meaningful process. Right, so taking souls and the competitive edge. Another powerful concept introduced the book is the idea taking souls. In the context here, it means here outperforming your competitions in such a way that it breaks their spirit. Whether in SEAL training, endurance races, or everyone challenges, Goggins used this tactics to gain a psychological edge. It is not about ego, right? It is about here outlasting others and providing to yourself that your mind is stronger than your circumstances. So endurance here, achievement and the powerful of the human spirit. Outside the military, here Goggins pushed his limits even further. He became an ultra endurance here athlete, right, completing over 60 ultra marathons, triathlons and ultra triathlons, often under here excruciating conditions, right. He once ran over 100 miles in under 24 hours with fractured feet and hair kidney damage. Through these achievements here, Goggins demonstrate that the human body is capable for far more than we believe, right. So if we can master our mind here, his story serves as undeniable proof that mental fortitude, when combined with discipline and a refusal to quit, can overcome seemingly impossible challenges. So challenges here, applying the lessons here. Each chapter of Can't Hurt Me ends with a challenge, practical exercises that I encourage readers, to reflect, act and transform their own lives, right. So these challenges involve here journaling, confronting fears, developing self-discipline, build routines and pushing beyond perceived limitations, right. So these sections here, make the book here interacting and deeply impactful, turning Goggins, life here lessons into personal development framework, right, that anyone can follow. So the conclusion of the point is here, becoming uncommon among the uncommon, right. So David Goggins concludes the book with a powerful call to action, to become uncommon among the uncommon. This means here refusing to settle, holding yourself to the highest standards, right, and striving for excellence in everything you do, right. So even when no one is watching, right, ultimately Can't Hurt Me is a raw, unfiltered look into the powerful of the human spirit. It challenges here readers to reject mediocrity, that embrace suffering and redefine their personal narrative. Goggins' journey proves that here greatness is not reserved for the chosen few. It is earned through discipline, pain and relentless pursuit for mental mastery, right. So here, what does Can't Hurt Me talk about? So Can't Hurt Me, Master Your Mind and Defy the Odds is both an autobiography and a transformative self-help book that chronicles the incredible life journey of David Goggins, a former Navy SEAL, ultra endurance athlete here and motivational speaker, but more than just a recounting of extraordinary achievements. The book is a raw and brutally honest exploration of the mindset, discipline and inner transformation that allowed Goggins to overcome extreme adversity and push the boundaries of human potential. And its core here, Can't Hurt Me is about mental toughness, self-mastery and belief that pain and struggle are necessary catalysts for growth. So from trauma to triumph, the book begins with Goggins, right, harrowing early years, born into a life filled with abuse, poverty, racism and instability, right. So here he endured physical violence from his father and academic struggles due to learning disabilities, for much of his youth. Goggins was overweight, lacked direction and carried deep emotional scars. However, rather than being defined by these circumstances, he made a radical decisions here to take control of his life. This marked the beginning of profound mindset shift here, moving from victimhood to personal accountability. He began to understand that while he couldn't change the past, he could change how to respond to it. It becomes the foundation for everything he would go on to achievement, right, to the achievement, right. So here the power of mindset shift here, one of the most powerful themes in the book is the idea that our minds are key to unlock untapped potentials here. So Goggins argues that the most people only operate at 40% of their true capability, a concept he calls 40% rule. So the rest is hidden behind pain, fear and limiting beliefs, right. To access it, one must become comfortable with discomfort and embrace the suffering that comes with growth. This mental transformation did not happen overnight, right. So Goggins describes in vivid details the dedication, discipline and relentless self-work required to break free from mediocrity. He shared He shares how he trained his mind through repeated exposure to hardship, physically, emotionally, mentally, build what he calls a calloused mind, right? So sacrifice and self-discipline here. Throughout here, Can't Hurt Me, Goggins emphasizes that true success comes with sacrifice, right? No doubt in it. The true success comes from the sacrifice, right? Okay, fine. So he gave up comfort, leisure, and here even relationships at times in order to pursue excellence, right? So here, whether it was training for ultra marathons, completing grueling Navy SEAL training here, including going through Hell Week 3 times, or setting a world record for pull-ups, each accomplishment was the result of intense preparation of radical self-discipline. He insists that there are no shortcuts, right? And that if you want to change your life, you must be willing to do the work, even when no one is watching, even when it hurts, and especially when it seems impossible. A manual for mental resilience here. Okay, so beyond telling his story here, Goggins offers tools and strategies that readers can apply to their life, to their own lives, right? Okay, so these include here the accountability mirror, a daily practice of confronting your weaknesses honestly and committing to change, I mean to say. Okay, so taking souls here, gaining a psychological edge by outworking those who doubt or challenge you. Okay, so cooking jar method here, drawing strength from past victories to push through present challenges. So each chapter concludes with a challenge, reflecting exercises and actionable steps that push readers to confront their limitations, take control of their lives, and build resilience. Okay, so a universal message of empowerment. So ultimately, Can't Hurt Me is a story of human empowerment. Goggins proves that greatness is not reserved for the naturally gifted. It is earned through sweat, sacrifice, and here relentless refusal to quit. Okay, so he turns personal suffering into a roadmap for others, showing that anyone here, regardless of background, can rise above adversity and achieve extraordinary things. The book encourages here readers to embrace suffering as a teacher, to push beyond perceived limits, and to strive for personal excellence in every aspect of life. So it is just not a motivational read, right, but a manual for becoming mentally invisible, right? So here, what does Can't Hurt Me teach? 10 here, I have the 10 transformative lessons on resilience, mental toughness and personal growth. So David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me, Master Your Mind and Defeat the Odds is more than a personal memoir. It is a psychological blueprint for mastering adversity and realizing your highest potential, rooted in his life's experiences. The book offers powerful, actionable insights that challenge the reader to rethink what's possible, from overcoming a traumatic childhood to becoming one of the toughest endurance athletes in the world. Here, Goggins' story reveals that the greatness is forged through suffering, discipline, and unbreakable resolve, right? So here the 10 life-changing lessons here. First is embrace the discomfort. Growth begins where comfort ends. Okay, so Goggins repeatedly emphasizes that true transformation happens outside the comfort zone, no doubt in it. Whether it's a physical pain, emotional trauma, or mental exhaustion, discomfort is a price we must pay to evolve, right? Rather than avoiding struggles, he teaches us to lean into it, to suffer voluntarily, and build strength, right? Through it, pain becomes the training ground for greatness. Second point is master the mind. You are actually capable of far more than you think. The mind is here, according to Goggins, is both your greatest enemy, your greatest enemy is your most powerful weapon, right? So most people quite when you are only at 40% of your capacity. By training your mind, developing focus, and pushing through mental barriers, okay, you gain access to reserve of strength and resilience that most never tap into. Third point is accountability is power. Face the truth in the mirror, I mean to say. So one of Goggins foundation practical practices, is the accountability mirror, metamorphical and literal space where you confront your weaknesses without excuse, right? Owning your flaws, okay, failures and limitation is the first step toward changing them. Honesty with yourself, no matter how uncomfort, is the seed of self-improvement. Next point is the fourth point is callous your mind. Repetition builds mental armor. Just as hands becomes a callous through hard labor, the mind becomes tougher through repeated exposure to change and suffering. Goggins here teaches that enduring pains, setbacks and failure is not just about surviving, it's about conditioning your mind, right, with a stand, I mean to say, pressure, criticisms, fatigue and fear. Next point is use the cookie jar, right? Okay, draw strength from past victories. So in difficult moments, Goggins mentally reaches into his cookie jar, a collection of past wins, hardships overcome and her personal achievements, to remind himself what he is capable of. The practice fuels self-belief and reignites willpower in the face of new challenges. So the 40% rule here: go beyond the limits you perceive. The ideas that we only use 40% of our potential when we feel like quitting of one of the most profound teachings of the book. It encourages us to us to question the limits we impose on ourselves and push further, dig deeper and strengthen our boundaries to unlock our full capacity, right? So next point is here: build a call to action. Challenges creates change. That each chapter ends here with a challenge, redesign, designed to apply the lessons learned. Okay, so this task here encourage journaling, self-reflection and physical or mental challenges. Here Goggins begins knowledge means nothing without application, right? And personal transformation only comes when you take action. Next point is here: turn pain into fuel. Suffering can be strategic, rather than being a victim of pain. Here Goggins reframes it as a tool for motivation. Emotional scars, rejections and failures are not reasons to quit, but reasons to rise, right? He shows that suffering can be harnessed to create a life of purpose, clarity and inner power. Okay, so next point is set no limits. You don't have to set any kind of limits in it. Okay, greatness is earned, not given. So there is no finish line for self-mastery. Goggins does not believe in balance when pursuing greatness. Okay, he believes in obsession. Okay, he teaches that you must be willing to sacrifice comfort, mediocrity and temporary pleasure, if you want to achieve something truly exceptional, I'm just okay. So next point is be uncommon among the uncommon. Raise your standards even among elite performers, Navy SEALs, ultra athletes and leaders. Goggins holds himself to an extraordinary standard. He challenges the readers to not just be better average, but to outwork the best, right? To be uncommon among the uncommon is to aim for elite levels of discipline, character and resilience here, even when no one's watching. So the final thought is here, the message behind the mission is Goggins' ultimate message is this here: you are not limited by your past. You are not limited by your past, your environment and your circumstances. You are only limited by the barriers you place on your own mind, with courage, honesty, relentless effort. Anyone can free from your mediocrity and build a life of impact and endurance, right? So here Can't Hurt Me is not just a story of survival, it's a guide to becoming the strongest, most resilient version of yourself, right? So the next question is here, Can't Hurt Me versus Never Finished. which is better? Okay, so here David Goggins has written two impactful books, Can't Hurt Me and Never Finished, right? So here each serving each serving a different purpose of his personal philosophy and mental toughness, discipline and transformation, while both are rooted in his no excuses, hard-hitting approach to life. Okay, they cater to different stages of personal growth and serve unique functions. Okay, so here Can't Hurt Me, a memoir and mindset awakener. Okay, so here nature of the book is Can't Hurt Me is a primarily an autobiographical memoir. It narrates here Goggins' transformation from an abused, overweight and insecure young man into a Navy SEAL, ultra endurance athlete and motivational powerhouse. Focus is here, the book focused on his life story here, filled with trauma, hardship and extreme mental conditioning. It introduces foundational lessons on here: accountability first, second is the 40% rule, third is embracing pain, okay, fourth is reprogramming your mind. Why it's powerful? Why it's actually powerful? It inspires and awakens for readers feeling stuck and lost. Okay, Can't Hurt Me serves here as a powerful wake-up call to confront mediocrity, build grit and realize their potential. Best for here people's new to personal development, or those who need inspiration to overcome excuses and ignite a mindset shift. Next point is here Never Finished, a tactical guidelines for growth. Nature of the book here, Never Finished, is a continuation and deepening of the first book, but more like a field manual for personal evolution. Goggins call this one a playbook to demolish doubt, master your mind and keep going when it feels impossible. Okay, structure here, the book is divided into 8 evolution, each focusing on a particular stage of growth. These chapters are less about storytelling and more about practical applications. What makes it stand out? Goggins breaks down advancement strategies, right, for here building unshakable habits, beating here comfort addiction. Okay, so handling next point is handling success without losing your edge. Okay, staying disciplined when no one is watching. Okay, the more 240 chapters especially stand out, where he reflects on pain as a compass and how staying in motion mentally and physically keeps him ahead of fear. Best for here people who have already begun their growth journey and are looking for next level discipline and mental mastery and longevity I'm to say in their grid, right, in their grind, I'm to say. Okay, so which one is better? So if you need inspirations and dramatic mindset shift, go for Can't Hurt Me. If you are already motivated and want strategies to stay sharp, focused and unstoppable, Never Finished is your guide, right? So the final verdict is here, that start with Can't Hurt Me, to understand where Goggins comes from and absorbed the raw motivational fuel here, then follow up with a Never Finished to implement systems that keep you pushing long after motivation fades, right? Together they form a complete mental reprogramming toolkit. Okay, so here is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins worth reading? Yes, profoundly so. Can't Hurt Me, Master Your Mind and Defy the Odds is more than a motivational book. It's a raw, intense and brutally honest journey into the mind of one of the toughest men alive. Whether you are struggling, thriving or simply curious about what the human spirit is capable of, this book what challenges inspiration and the awaken you, right? Okay, so why it's worth reading? Emotional depth here. Goggins' storyline is unfiltered, filled with pain, vulnerability and triumph. Okay, his journey through abuse, racism, failures and extreme physical suffering connects deeply on an emotional level. Many readers here find themselves crying, laughing and reflecting, sometimes all in the same chapter. Mental rewiring here, this book does not just motivate, it reprograms your mindset. Goggins here dismantles, right, excuse here, self-pity and fear, replacing them with discipline, resilience and radical accountability. His actual life is proof that you are capable for far more than you think. Practical life lesson is here. Each chapter includes challenges and practical tools such as 40% rules here, the accountability mirror and the cookie jar that help apply the principle of your own life. It's just not a storytelling, it's an actionable thing. Okay, next point is here, the audiobook is a masterpiece. The audio edition goes beyond a typical readers, right? Narrated by Adam here is called Nick. The audiobook here includes your podcast style behind the scene conversations between chapters, right? So Goggins himself offers deeper context, personal anecdotes and unscripted reflections. So these formats make the audio version a far richer and more immersive experience. So the final verdict is what? The final verdict is, if you are looking for a book that will push your limits, break your excuses and light a fire under your goals, right, Can't Hurt Me is a must-read book. And if you want to full emotional motivational impact, go for the audiobook. It may just change how you see your life, your struggles and your potential. So yeah, this is all about the book of Can't Hurt Me. So yeah,